In this church year, we will reflect upon the Gospel of Mark, the first of our 4 Gospels to be written, and the only one to call itself a Gospel. The word is actually 2 Old English words put together, God, good, and spell, news, good news. It's a translation of the Greek word that Mark uses in today's reading, evangelion. Here begins the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is the way Mark opens. And this one sentence sums up his entire text. Right from the start, Mark declares that what he has to tell is good news. Let's stop for a moment and think about that. Do I really think of my faith as good news? Sometimes, I suppose, I do. But I'm more inclined to think of it as ideas to which I give assent, moral rules which I obey or disobey, a structured community living in history, including my history. Does the world at large think of our faith as good news? If folks believed it to be good news, there would be more of them joining us. Perhaps they don't see it as good news for themselves because we don't show that it is good news for ourselves. Why do you suppose that is? Is it possible that our faith in the good news is so weak that we fear putting it up against the bad news? Are we afraid to match the gospel to the pain, confusion, doubt, and evil we see around us and within us? Perhaps we fear that the gospel won't measure up, or even that it is irrelevant to what bothers the world. Do we fear that the bad news will smash our gospel faith, and so we keep it safe to be brought out only on Sundays and holidays? Yet, for the good news to be good, it must face what's bad. Most of us are experts at bad news. Being experts at bad news is, paradoxically, good. At least we know where the gospel is needed in our lives, know the shape of the hole in our lives that the good news must fill to really be good news. The answer to it all is a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so Mark says, the gospel of Jesus Christ. The bad news in my life has an answer in the one who went to the cross. He knows the bad news because, like us, he lived with it. He knew the confusion of childhood, the insecurity of adolescence, the betrayal of love, the fear and agony of death. He knew his own bad news, and he knows mine. We're very busy people. Just getting to church on Sunday seems to be about as much as I can handle. Give time for prayer or quiet reflection? Give time to read Scripture and other faith-nourishing, faith-challenging things? Spend time and energy with and for my neighbor? I'd love to, but I'm just too busy. And yet, that is where I will develop the relationship with Christ that will be the good news for my bad news. Why is that? Mark also proclaims that in his first sentence. Jesus Christ is the Son of God. In knowing Christ, I know the Son of God, whose death on the cross became the source of life. God's love is stronger than the bad news. The resurrection of Christ is the guarantee of that strength. Our baptism into the death and resurrection of Christ is the guarantee that we share it. That's good news for you, for me, for everyone. And good news is for sharing. Just as we recommend good restaurants and good films, once we know Christ as good news, we recommend him. How? By living lives that really look as if they are touched by good news. Once I really know Christ as good news, others will want to know the secret of my joy in pain, my confidence in confusion, my hope in the face of death. The pain, the confusion, the death will not go away. They will be, however, the place where I meet Christ more deeply because I'm not afraid to bring my faith there. The pain, confusion, and death will be the bad news where the good news happens. And so, in Advent, we make a bit more effort to welcome the Lord into our lives and into our hearts so that we can indeed know him as Son of God, as good news.
you.